well. And we're going to see Forest go for an aggressive hold towards B. So he should gain some information early. And you can see the rest of Space Soldiers grouping up around the A site. So this should be a fairly quick push towards this bomb site with the smokes and flashes coming through. And already the trades go down. Exist gets one before he is dropped, and Draken is still alive in towards Quad. He gets 3 kills, and this round might just be over from that alone. It's all up to the last man, NiP, but Rez finishes him off. And NiP take a fairly convincing pistol round off the back of a 3K from Draken.
You can see Space Soldiers were looking for the aggression, the Deagles, the Glocks, and ready for an instant push, but this time the aggression gets to them, and NiP will end up with the opening pistol round. Some nice shots from Draken and the rest of the CTs. I think all in all, Space Soldiers just got a single kill during that pistol round, so that means that no bomb plant, of course, comes through. It means we only got CZs out to work with. A little bit of force by a couple of players, a couple of bits of helmets, but Kevlar out for everybody else. 3 flashbangs in total. Most of the utility has been used as they tried to go in towards the B side, but just going to get cleaned up by Draken. A 3K spray down with the CZ, and Exist and Rez are just left to pick up the pieces in mid. Nicely done from NiP, particularly from Draken. 3K for the man. 2-0 to NiP.
Yeah, another triple kill for Draken, starting off strong. And to be fair, Draken is a player who has been, fairly streaky. Even in individual games, it seems like sometimes he can hit some insane shots, and then sometimes he can miss the easy ones. So it's good to see him starting well from NiP's perspective. The Swedes will be very happy with that. As we head into round 3, of course, the Turks, unfortunately for them, will just have blocks for the most part. And already you can see what that means. It's Draken finding that first kill relatively easily. Seems like Space Soldiers are just kind of spread across the map. I wouldn't mind them just kind of grouping up, going for a push together, because to be honest, with the Glocks, you're not really going to get anything going in sort of 1v1 engagements. But there was a chance there for the 50-50 as the push came out towards B, but it won't lead to anything as the man drops again at the hands of Rez. So first 2 kills coming in favour of NiP, pretty much going as expected, and we're kind of just waiting for the next round to come into play at this point.
Yeah, very basic stuff. Kevlar no utility, very basic pistols, so 3-0 will come as standard for the NiP side. See what they keep, let's see what they buy into. I imagine they'll be keeping a lot of these weapons just to retain value more than anything else. We've got the UMP staying in play. Draken does get the AWP in favour of the Scouts, so that's one thing as well, a bit of investment, and well, understandable in this particular circumstance. Space Soldiers got themselves the full AK buys as well. Kevlar helmets, decent amount of utility, 4 smokes in particular for the full execution set if they wanted to go for it, but so far just going to be early play in towards A main and the setup more than anything else here. Actually, no, quite a lot of smokes going down very, very quickly here. Space Soldiers just going to try go for the fast play in towards the head side, and Paz will get a double kill for his efforts, peeking out Squeaky, shuts down the CT force. Foresters rotate quickly in, but isn't able to get an angle as the T side will just get the ball planted and turn it into a 5-on-3 situation to their favour. Ninjas in pajamas for a retake. Rez does get spotted, sprayed down by Fix, but isn't going to quite able to get the kill. Second base will find it, and Draken and Forest are the last 2 alive. Probably just best for a save at this point. They're taking passive angles and just looking for some exit frags. So Space Soldiers look to have their first on the board.
Yeah, Paz just finds 2 entries straight out of Squeaky, and that is basically all Space Soldiers need to capitalise upon that and completely gain control of the A site for their first round. Forest will find 1 exit kill. Paz goes down, and there's a nice second shot from Forest as he does some more damage. Oh, getting another dink in there before he is dropped. That actually makes a reasonable difference here because Space Soldiers don't have all that much money to work with. So those few exit kills from Forest could certainly make a big impact here if NiP win this subsequent round. Already you can see a couple of Space Soldiers players forced down to weaker weapons. Paz goes down to a UMP. I believe they should still have 3 AKs at least, but maybe also forced down to a nump. So Forest's economic damage has really gained them a little bit of an advantage already heading into this round. And Space Soldiers, after the quick A play worked so well in the previous, might look for it again here because they are already heavily leaning towards this A bomb site in this round number 5. So Draken has peeked a little bit aggressively in towards Squeaky to try and gather some information for his side, but he might get overwhelmed if the push does indeed come through the smoke. And it looks like it will as Exist shuts down the first, looking for the second, but steals it away from him as he's forced into the open by the flames. The trades continue back and forth, but it looks like Space Soldiers will just get shut out as Draken himself finds 2 kills, and this time NiP are more than ready to shut down the quick A play.
Very nicely done, exactly what to do and how to kind of correct their issues of defending in that last round. So reset onto Space Soldiers. Not much available for them in this particular case. Eagles, a couple of P250s, but no armor. Only a flashbang utility for Major. That is about it for the Space Soldiers. So we should be looking at a very easy 5-1 favour to NiP. And you can see them taking the aggressive angle as a result, mostly towards that mid position, get right, moving up towards the icebox to hold down the garage door. The Space Soldiers have other plans, making their way on towards the counter boost bomb. Not committed to either side. They're just playing a standard eco default. Might look for a pick again, mostly onto this Deagle from Zentaris, looking for Drucken. Just holding back. Now she does peek out with the AWP to shut him down. Nice, easy headshot for the man. So easy as you would expect it, but again, you know, this is not really much of a round that can really be found from Space Soldiers. Just again, using that Deagle, using that P250 to do as much damage as they can. And they have got the pick back to the 4-on-4, but sadly outside of that, not a whole lot that Space Soldiers have going for them.
Yeah, they get the kill back, but there's no real chance to pick up the rifle, and it looks like one of the Space Soldiers players has disconnected. They were already dead, so it's not going to make an impact on the round. We will just continue playing it out here. Fish comes out, but Get Right is so quick with the headshot. That AK coming up trumps for that kill. It seems like Alex is still hoping that another player will stray into his crosshair, and they will. It's Forrest this time to peek out into the dig and go down. So we go back to a 3 versus 3. The time is ticking away with 30 seconds left for Space Soldiers to make their move. Get Right struggling towards mid, but what a spray transfer. Gets the 2 headshots. And Paz by himself will elect to try to push towards this A bomb site. 20 seconds left, looks for the headshot and does find it. So the bomb plant might be a possibility now, and with 15 seconds left, you would think he would try to cross towards the site. Bomb should be planted, but no.
Yeah, not much available for him. Molotov's away, and low HP was never going to survive that in any particular manner or form. Just try and get that bomb plant more than anything else. And Zentaris will be rejoining us here, of course. So back up to 5-1 as standard when we're ready to unpause. I think we're going to have to wait for a quick admin change so we can get into this one. Of course, automatic pausing, so we can get back into this one. So 5-1 is going to be the scoreline to start things off for Ninjas in Pajamas. Space Soldiers will have a buy back into this one. 3 AKs, a Galil, and Calix get to buy, but I imagine he'll also get a rifle out for his team.
Yeah, should be the case. We're still just waiting to get back underway here. Calix also, of course, has plenty of cash to work with. The utility isn't exactly perfect for Space Soldiers, but they already tried some quick A plays, so they're probably going to want to play this round slowly, and yet that might be difficult with the lack of nades. It might be quite difficult to go for a late round execute. So this is a little bit of an awkward round for Space Soldiers here, especially up against NiP, who, of course, themselves still have plenty of utility to work with across the board. I believe Draken, yeah, does have an off drop towards him as well, and he started this game pretty damn nicely. 12-2 up until this point. Of course, still very early stages, but always nice to get so many kills early on. I mean, to be fair, a couple of them were anti-eco kills, but they all count towards your score at the end of the day. Again, still just waiting here for the unpause to come through, so hopefully we can get back underway soon. Hopefully Space Soldiers as well can start to get some rounds on the board, because, you know, their economy has been a little bit troubling for them so far, and you can even see that come through into this buy here.
Yeah, of course, we're in a quick pause. So we're going to take a quick opportunity to fix our microphones. We understand that there are some audio issues on the end of the stream, so just bear with us. We're going to go silent for a couple of minutes so we can hopefully get that whole thing sorted out, and with any fingers crossed, it will all be fixed. Do let us know what's going on in the Twitch chat, but yeah, we'll see you in a couple of seconds when hopefully this match is live again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully we have some microphone issues fixed, but we'll jump right back into the action here in the last 30 seconds of the round. Space Soldiers have tried their default, but so far been unsuccessful in finding a pick. Now they will stack their way in towards the B site and go for a push. Centaurus, first man in towards Checkers, doesn't spot out anybody. The Draken was looking to try and push in initially. Here they come now, 15 seconds if they drop the bomb. This could get very, very ugly indeed, but fortunately they're able to trade things back. Rez is still on site. Major gets a kill. Paz sprays away and does take him out of the action, so the bomb does get planted. It's all on Forest in a 1 versus 3 situation. Not really much he can do here. Probably just best to save things at this point.
Yeah, he may have the experience on his side, but he's still stuck in a 1-on-3, so unlikely to be able to do too much. Very nice of Space Soldiers as well to, take that round slowly so we could sort out the microphone issues and still get back just in time to watch them execute towards that B site. They did a very good job at that. Forest is actually probing towards the site there, and that is one quick kill for him. With the defuse kit, there was the slight possibility he could go for it, but still, against 2 opponents, decides it's just not worth the risk. And considering NiP's economy, I think you can see why, because their money is not looking great off the back of just 1 round loss. They're going to have a very speculative buy here heading into this coming round. And again, that's why this game, despite it looking like it's been one-sided up until this point, a fair few rounds have been close enough to keep NiP's money low. And Space Soldiers can certainly get their way right back into this map.
Yeah, nice second round does mean that Space Soldiers, well, economy damage, I think that's mostly what Forest was focusing on at the end of that round. Just looking for the exits, managing to take down that third player and keeping them modest. And you can see what it's done as a result. Paz just down with a single UMP, but vice versa on the NiP side, they're down to a UMP and a CZ on get right. No AWP, of course, and lacking in their helmets and a little bit of utility as well for the TT side. So still very good round from the Space Soldiers to start turning some control back to their favor. Within 3 rounds of the CT side, hopefully looking for another default, potentially an opening pick. But so far, once again, the CTs are just holding back. They've got Rez on an aggressive position, but yeah, outside of that, not a whole lot. Just a standard default defensive setup being used and hoping that Space Soldiers just fall in line and try set up for their own right there. Past the first minute of the matchup, of the roundup here at the very least. And Rez is still holding back, and he hears some footsteps in this garage area, but so far just not going to find it into fruition. As Space Soldiers will wrap on through. Rez actually does catch off the first kill in Centaurus. He's pushing aggressive, takes a second, almost a third on Paz, but not going to quite get it. It's still going to be a 2-for-1 trade, and it is to the favor of NiP.
Yeah, Paz tries to go out through mid himself, but doesn't expect Get Right to be so high up, and the CZ works well even at the medium range fight. So now Calyx is going to have to attempt to open up the B site, but he won't have to because Calyx's Molotov gets the frag instead. They'll continue to try and gain control here, but this has been a little bit telegraphed now. You can already see the NiP players are happily rotated over, and more importantly, Get Right is coming through for the flank, but he is actually expected himself. It's Calyx to find another frag and just leave Exist alive. 1v2 coming through vents. Space Soldiers will have to get the bomb down quickly here. They don't know where Exist is coming from, so this is going to be a free kill in the back. Not quite the second one, though, as the AWP manages to get the trade, and Space Soldiers take their 2nd round in a row. And again, a nicely set up B execute there with the Molotov going over the top, finding that one free kill. They bring it back down to a position where they continue to have the man advantage, and NiP themselves will be forced down to a low buy again.
That sucks pretty bad because NiP had a nice man advantage with Rez's position in the advancement, just taking a 2-for-1 trade, and somehow they just lost it and it ended up being 2-for-1. So I don't know how NiP managed to lose that round, but it does mean they're down to a reset. Full eco in play, only a P250 for Rez to work with. Everybody else got USPs, no Kevlar, no utility, and a stack on the B site. Space Soldiers have put most of their force towards A, and eventually, as the round does tick by, they will realize that there is nobody here, and they just get the bomb down so easily. Space Soldiers playing completely the opposite of how NiP are playing, and now probably going to be taking a 4th round for it as well, even if they do have to fight up against them. Very unlikely these USPs can win out these Angels. And Draken, now a lone man on the A site defensive, excuse me, sorry. I managed to mess up all my words today, but he's been spotted. Paz will try to see if he can take him down. Smoke on the cross, and Space Soldiers will just make their way on through. Centaurus, nice shot. Did get dinked for it, though. Should be left alone just to push the bomb into the A site. They're taking their time with this one. NiP could have forced bought some upgraded pistols. They could have decently bought down into some 5.7s, P250s, etc. So they're just going to hold back and slowly push in towards the A site. Once they've got it secured, get the bomb down. And from here, NiP don't really have much of a chance to retake. I guess they can go for it because they're not losing a whole lot, but still 5-on-4. It's going to be a 4th round for Space Soldiers.
Yeah, taking the gamble, of course, is quite standard, just stacking towards that B site. No reason not to, especially considering Space Soldiers had in the previous 2 rounds a fair amount of success on hitting that B bomb site. You might just hope they would go for it again. Doesn't quite work out for NiP this time, so instead they will look towards the site from truck, but I don't think they're going to get too much of an opportunity except for Paz peeking into the open, who survives on a slither of health, just 1 HP, and he will run as far away from the bomb as possible just to ensure he can save this AK. In the meantime, the rest of NiP looking to see if they can possibly find one more exit kill just to get one more gun away, and they do manage that as Calyx goes down. So a little bit of a bonus at the end of the round, but still, you can see NiP's economy is certainly still on the back foot. They will go for the buy here, but there absolutely will not be an AWP for Draken. It's just going to be rifles across the entirety of the team, and the utility isn't exactly perfect either. So despite NiP, you know, having a decent start to this game, it's been a little bit troublesome in these recent rounds. They have had these sort of awkward buys where they don't quite have the full utility they may hope for. And it looks like the response from NiP might be to go for some early aggression and attempt to gain a man advantage with that lack of utility. You can see Forest being boosted up towards B, but more importantly, elsewhere, they're going to boost up elsewhere on towards the A site, up on that Shroud position. So NiP playing some cheeky off angles, if you like, to attempt to shut down the pushes towards the site, and that might just work out well for them. You know, there's always the possibility to rotate the other player off of the A site if you want to just leave one up on Shroud and take that gamble. They're going to stick with 2 players towards the A site, so that can be quite a powerful crossfire if the push does indeed come through towards this A bomb site.
Calyx takes first face, but Draken up on the Shroud spot, as you said earlier, going to take full advantage of it. Fix will try to see if he can get the trade back, and does actually leg him down with the AWPs, and Taurus eventually finishes the job and takes it back to a 4 versus 4. And now Space Soldiers is looking to try and push on through. Paz gets caught off by Get right through the smoke, but he's on the flank and Major will take him down. Exist sprays on, double kill for him. And now it's all Major on a flank of his own. Forest will shut him out of the action. And that will be a 6th round on the board from NiP. Nicely held together, slow to start things off, but eventually they get it together and bring that back round within 2 of Space Soldiers.
Yeah, Exist just swings out and makes such a huge difference. His ability to spray 2 down really made the big difference in that round. Those were the 2 important kills. And now again, you can see both teams' economy has not really been able to be built up because this game has really been quite back and forth so far. Just off the back of 1 round loss, this time it's Space Soldiers down to the weak buy. We're going to see some fights early on because Draken wants to take the fight to his opposition. There is the first shot and he has the smoke to cover his back. So he can get back to safety, happily gaining a man advantage for his team. But elsewhere, the bomb for Space Soldiers is currently looking towards the A bomb site, and there's only Exist really to hold this off all by himself. So this could be a little bit worrisome for the NiP guys. Exist sprays them down. It's 2 kills before he is dropped. However, Xantares should just about be able to get the bomb planted. In the meantime, Efexio is over towards mid, and he's going to have to hold off this position. This fight is so important, but as he loses it now, Xantares stuck in a 1-on-4, almost certainly will just die off any second now. Ooh, okay, 1 headshot for Xantares. Maybe he's got something left in his locker as he goes for the flash through, looking for some more aggressive fights. Swing back towards Z, still looking for some 1-taps, wanting that highlight play, but this time it's not going to work out because Get Right stands true to win the duel, and NiP will take another round.
7-4 favour to the Ninjas in Pajamas, and again held decently well set together. Space Soldiers had a decent opportunity, but I think one of that round really highlights, for me at the very least, is how much the likes of Rez and Draken have now learned from the veterans of the NiP side. Rez, very disciplined play. He got the aggression on, and the moment he got a first pick, just rotate back and hold from passive angle. Just that's how you should play a CT side if you're going to take any sort of aggression on any sort of map. So learning, understanding, and managing to make the best of the AWP in this particular case. That's going to be 7th round, of course, on the board with the rest of the CT side setting up the defensive. And now we've got a 3 AK buy up from the Space Soldiers. Paz and Taurus and Calyx, 2 UMPs also in play. And look at this, they're just going to execute ASAP. Smoke out on the crossbar. Look at Exist, he sprays down 2. Gets a lot of damage onto the 3rd of Major, and Paz has to go aggressive. Try and deal with this. Does take down Get Right, and Exist goes falling into a 3 versus 3. And no backstab can be set up here in time from NiP. They've got 3 players. Bix trying to cover it off, spots the shadow of Rez, takes him down. No, Rez actually takes him out instead. Paz now starting to boost on the electric bot, spots out Draken and takes him out to the 2 versus 2. They're trading back and forth, and the CTs have only got the advanced positioning over at A main. Both Major and Paz are locking down this crossfire, waiting to receive, and indeed he spots the first, takes him down. It's all Forest alone. 1 versus 2, sprays on the Paz, but can he find Major? He hasn't even got a defuse kit, so this is going to be a whole lot more difficult difficult. I don't know if he's got time in this case. Peeking around, back behind the smoke, tries to make his way back out and does get a deagle shot, but no defuse, as I said, not enough time, and has to fall out. Concede a 5th round to the favour of Space Soldiers.
Yeah, Paz has just been a machine on those A entries. Even when he's not going in first, he's able to find those headshots with the AK, really doing a lot of work there. This time, of course, getting a 4K after he got blinded to be taken down at the end, but it's still enough for Space Soldiers to win another round. However, of course, they lose all their guns in the process, so just look at the buy for Space Soldiers now. Xantares and Calyx are both without helmets, up against a couple of guns that can now find one-shot headshots against them. But more importantly, they have almost no utility to work with. They're really going to have to rely on some individual plays here. And that's certainly something that Space Soldiers could pull off as Paz tries to spot out for this early aggression, and he comes out on top against the AWP of Draken. Draken so often likes to go aggressive towards Squeaky, but he just gets shut out, and Space Soldiers just fragging out all across the map, leaving just Rez left alive, and this round is over before it's even really begun.
And once again, this kind of shows up the point we were talking about before the match begun of the Space Soldiers' aggression on that T side. Once they get swinging, they cannot stop fragging, and NiP, as a result, will be once again reset into this round. It has to be a full eco for round 14 if they want to get a buyout for the next round at the very least. Only a maximum of $2,150, even post the buy for Draken. So, very, very good round from Space Soldiers. Very crucial round from Space Soldiers. And in this case, NiP unable to get trades. They're back down to the pistols, which they weren't able to work too well in the last round. But in this round, actually going to be able to do decently well with it. Takes down Xantares peeking out of the garage main door. Gets that opening kill, which is basically how you want to play these kind of USP pistols. Stacking up several players in a particular position and managing to get the appropriate crossfire set to do the damage. Then that's perfect in this case for NiP. So, opening kill in the favour of the CT side, but from here, once Space Soldiers get a trade back, they should just be able to claim the rest, because there is not really a whole lot of armour for NiP. But I'm also holding back on B side, which has nobody there, so I don't really see a whole lot of opportunity for NiP to win this one. Maybe, again, just take away a few rifles, get 3 kills, and I think you'd be happy. 1 minute to go, and Space Soldiers now just trying to get as much control of this match as they possibly can. 3 players against 1. It's all Space Soldiers here.
Yeah, NiP just hoping to stack towards mid and land some long-range shots with the pistols, which is certainly not a bad idea. You know, if you're successful with the one deagle you have alongside the USPs, that can work out for you. But after all goes down, it's just going to be Exist left. He swings back around for a quick dink. That's going to force Paz to fall back. Again, good to see that Paz doesn't take that fight unnecessarily there. There's no need to risk him losing the AK. So he's happy to just retreat, go over to the B site, and pretty much guarantee the round win for Space Soldiers, with Exist having nothing to work with. I also do just want to point out, we had a bit of confusion earlier about whether or not this is in fact Efexio playing for Space Soldiers as a stand-in, but apparently we do indeed have Efexio standing in for Space Soldiers here. So this is going to be really fun to see him get back into the action, and more importantly, Exist get back into the action, with a quick kill and an AK in his hands. He might just look to save this at this point, although the B site is looking fairly open. Still without the defuse kit, I don't think anything can be done, so we're just going to see Exist try to hold on to it, but he's been spotted out. Space Soldiers are not happy to let him have the AK, and Major ends up shutting him down at the end.
Efexio the stand-in, but Space Soldiers don't look any weaker for it. Evening up the scoreline at 7-7, approaching the round ending, or the half-ending round, I should say. 15 rounds on the board will be coming into effect. 4 M4s for NiP, 1 UMP as well for Draken. Space Soldiers have the 4 AKs, a single AWP on Efexio, of course. Look at this early aggressive play coming in from Ninjas. Draken not going to go straight out of that A main position and try to look for an opening pick, but we'll take a more advanced angle, I guess you could say. The stand of 1-2-1 split between A mid and B site, and Space Soldiers, of course, playing their own T side default, hoping for an opening pick down one of these main doors. But so far, the smokes are getting in their way, and no real member of NiP is offering themselves up as a sacrifice or bait. They'll just hold back and wait for it to come through, and Space Soldiers expecting a lot of aggression to come out from the NiP side. But again, NiP just not going to bite. Hold standard, hold back. Wait for the opportunities to come to you. Again, if you're a CT, the T's need to come to your position unless they force you out of position like they just did there in the vents, Molotoving Forest back away. So they got that much going for them. 60 seconds still left on the clock as well for Space Soldiers. They slowly make their way back around into the B halls and actually making a little bit of work up mids, and Taurus and Major are going to head out that way. into the vents. So this could be a nice checkers main split from the Space Soldiers, but lots of options to work with. They've got 2 players to work with, and Forest will get their opening kill, but Zentaris with a quick trade and a Molotov.
Yeah, push going to come through, but Rez is still here, anchoring the site. The Molotov is going to force him to reposition, and more importantly, Effexio is just going to take him down instead. So now, Space Soldiers have the B site wide open for the taking, except for Exist, who's rotated over towards Heaven. He's going to go aggressively to deny the bomb, and now it's up to Paz all by himself, coming through for the flank, but Get Right is aware of it. He swings back around for a nice shot to close it out. And NiP take a slight lead heading into the second half, but certainly nothing convincing either way. You know, I think this is kind of going as we said. You know, both teams are playing pretty well. We've seen both teams show up, and certainly still, you know, both teams in with a shout here. And this second half pistol could be a big deciding factor in how this one plays out.
A quick pause being called here is technical in nature, so I guess we'll just leave Space Soldiers an opportunity to fix out what they want to. Of course, there wouldn't be any much of a sense of a tactical pause at this point in time, but either way, pistol round looking to be initially, well, NiP are initially set up for their T side pretty quickly here. Exist with the smoke and flashbang for entry in towards the site. So there are a couple of things you can do with this. If you're on the B site, you know, you can put it up in towards that tree cross and cut off the CT, so you may be holding out passive on the B site. Or, of course, that standard A cross and just peek in and make your way out towards quad, clear out MBK corner and get yourself on towards default, or plant for main or plant for box. Lots of opportunities that Space Soldiers can do with just a little bit of utility. So let's see. Oh, sorry, NiP can do it a little bit of utility. So let's see what they will do with it. So far, Space Soldiers also going to play down with armor on everybody. No diffuse kit, surprisingly enough. And I often do not respect to buy with no diffuse kit, since you may need to fall back on that, and it's always just better to be safe than sorry. But NiP initially set up to go into the A site, indeed Exist, held back with a P250 and just waiting to toss that smoke in towards the cross, which looks like the most likely thing that they will go for. Space Soldiers got 3 players here who can deal with this. One that can rotate from highway, 2 holding down the A site and directed. And I just wait on through. Smoke down, here comes the flash, and here comes the push.
Yeah, we're going to see them try to overwhelm this A-bomb site, but there's a fair few players here from the CT side. No kills coming through just yet. However, Major will change that as he finds 2 and a 3rd kill. Major just goes huge from quad, leaving only Exist left alive with the P250. Looking for some headshots at long range, but there's just so many opponents peeking towards him. I don't think there's going to be any real chance for him at this point. He ends up going down. And yeah, we saw in the first half, Draken played that exact same position on the pistol round. He was the man to get the 3K for NiP. This time, it's the other way round. Space Soldiers get the triple kill. Major takes a page out of his book. And now Space Soldiers should be able to regain control and regain the lead here, as you can see with the strong buy. 3 rifles to work with up against the pistols. But at the same time, you can never count NiP out. Even with this weaker buy, they still have CZs, they still have a Deagle in there, and there's certainly still playability for them as they look to slowly but surely make their way towards this A-bomb site.
If they do hit the A-bomb site, I'm really hoping that this time they do check quad and they do clear out MBK corner, because that's the one thing that they didn't do. And in this case, it cost them a huge dear amount. They pushed on through this time. They don't have to worry about the quad position. They don't have to worry about the rafters as Zentaris picks off the first man in Draken. But Rez does get that bomb plant, pretty much got his priority set. Grenades bring on through, do a lot of damage to the NiP side, and counter smokes will come through. Space Soldiers setting up the retake. A 5-on-4 with a weapon advantage. It means that more than likely going to be a CT victory here. Get right down to 14 HP. Does get a little bit of damage on through, but Paz finally finishes them off. 2 players out towards quads. Zentaris has spotted out the head of 1 man, takes out Forest. Looks for Rez as well. Exist has already fallen, and that's it. Easy as for Space Soldiers. A clean sweep from the CTs. 9-8 to the favor of Space.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised NiP were allowed to get that bomb planted so open there. For a second, you think there's some playability, but then, of course, you realize with just the pistols, it's always going to be difficult, even holding from A main. Unless you can get some Deagle kills, maybe, there's not really too much of a possibility. So the bomb plant does go in their favor, and that certainly helps their money a little bit, which is always nice. And you can see off the back of that, a couple of players will decide it is worth investing up into the pistols. Draken being one of them with the Deag, alongside a fair few players actually buying up Deags. Forest, Rez, all wanting that Desert Eagle for those one-shot headshot abilities. And Exist nearly finds one straight through the smoke. Calyx won't be too pleased about that one. Zentaris instead will open things up with a headshot of his own, and he actually finds the frag on towards Rez rather than just a dink. So quite an easy opening kill for Space Soldiers, and now NiP seem to be trying to boost some players up. We saw Space Soldiers do this themselves when they just had the Deagles. Look to see if you can pick off an opponent who strays out a bit too far. Xantares is wide out in the open here, so this is a bit of a risk to take up against Forest with the Deag, but it hasn't costed him just yet. Still standing his ground and waiting for the push to come in towards him. You can see he has actually forced Forest back himself. So still yet to see what NiP are actually going to try and do in terms of their push. You'd think they might go for the mid play, although that is going to be somewhat difficult up against the rifles, but they're happy to just play it slowly, slow things down, see if there are any weaknesses in the Space Soldiers setup. They are going to go back for the boost with Get Right with the CZ, interestingly enough. So 45 seconds left, and NiP will be forced to speed things up pretty soon here.
They're still held out in those mid positions on the boost spot, and of course in the garage positions. And Xantares does get his second headshot of the round. Nicely done to take down Get Right. Yeah, not really much that NiP can do from this position as well. They've got no armor, no utility, a little bit sheepishly peeking on through, since what other options do they have? Draken does finally take Xantares out of the action, but with the push coming on through, he's got the info, and Paz can make his way confidently in towards his backstab. 17 seconds. NiP need to go quick now. They need to try at least get a bomb plant or die at the very most, so you can get that round loss bonus. But 10 seconds, time's almost up. Major spots out Draken, takes it down, sprays to the second man, and trying to look for Forest as well. He will go falling, and not really much of a round from NiP. That's going to be 10 on the board for Space Soldiers. They take their pistol and conversions. Now comes the full rifle from both sides. M4 is already in play for Space Soldiers. A couple of SMGs, and Paz and Calyx look to try and get as much value out of those as they can. 5 AKs coming out from NiP. Quite a lot of utility as well, with the head armor and Kevlar as well. So into towards the default once again. Most players heading up towards A mid, and one more out towards B side. Let's see what NiP can do here.
Yeah, you said Space Soldiers have been aggressive so far. Oh my god. Okay. I was going to say, I expect the SMGs to go aggressive early on, and they try to, but Paz will be denied as the tap goes straight through the smoke. I mean, there's nothing Space Soldiers can really do about that. The push elsewhere in towards T-Main is also unsuccessful. So it seems like NiP in their first gun round, thanks to a little bit of luck, should be able to pick this one up. But again, remember, Space Soldiers didn't really fully invest. A couple of players were happy to keep the SMGs, and they should still have the money for the next round. So even if they lose this round, it's not going to be a disaster for Space Soldiers. And they still have the chance to do something here. Again, when you're down in a 3v5, I think I prefer Space Soldiers to just take some sort of a risk now, because there's no real chance you can have, you know, hold one player on A site, one at mid, and one at B. It's not really going to happen for you. And you can see the risk is taken by EPICENTER, who goes for the aggression in towards A main. He does get one kill for it as a reward, but that is all he's going to be able to pick up as the trade comes through. Now it's going to be heavily on Xantares to watch towards mid, but the timing is slightly off. Draken finds the back of his head, and so Calyx will be the last man left, and NiP will get another round back and keep us incredibly close in terms of the scoreline.
Couple of holes being held by NiP in that round. EPICENTER shouldn't have gotten up towards A main like he did and actually managed to get that pick on Exist. I mean, they should have had that cover. They should be expecting the aggression from Space Soldiers, because at the end of the day, it's Space Soldiers, a team who are so well known for their own aggressive stances on both CT and T sides. So yeah, either way, it does mean a round to the favour of NiP. They are able to get the 4 versus 1 in play, and they will go up within one more round here of the CT4. So full buy coming in from Space Soldiers, as you said, you know, still lots of money to play with. It does mean it will be on the last buy that they can before they have to eco. 1 AWP, 4 M4s in play. A decent amount of utility. Not the best, but slightly, well, not that badly limited, but Kevlar helmets as a standard as you would expect. NiP, of course, with the 5 AKs. No AWP for them so far this half, but managed to do so well without it, so why not keep going? Back in towards this T side default. 3 players out towards the B halls. We'll have to deal with Major and Calyx, but again, just looking for that opening pick, looking for a way in, and they might almost find it on Major, burning alive in a Molotov back at Checkers, but he gets us scot-free. He's still alive. Is it NiP trying to take more map control?
Yeah, you can see Space Soldiers taking a slight risk, just putting Paz by himself towards the side, but he's playing a fairly aggressive angle, so he should be able to spot things out, and that's allowing him to stack more towards B. Calyx, unfortunately for him, is burning alive. He gets a kill in reply with his Molotov. EPICENTER finds a frag with the AWP. Major himself will go down, and that should be the B site fairly open, although that smoke is a little bit off from Draken, and they don't have a second one for CT. So you can see EPICENTER is more than happy to attempt to hold this angle with a CZ in his hands. He's going to push his way into the smoke and try and play it sneaky here. This is so awkward. They walk past each other. But finally, Draken realizes what is happening. He swings back around for the headshot and brings it down to a 2-on-2. And Space Soldiers fairly far away from the action with no defuse kit here. They're going to have to go quickly on this retake.
Coming in from two different angles, not a whole lot of time to play with. The Paz will be first responder, trying to spot out Draken. If he can take him down, that'll be a crucial victory for this retake. The Space Soldiers, it's very unlikely. Flashbangs keeping Paz at bay, and with the time that it wastes, essentially, that's more bonus for the Ninjas in Pajamas. Rez does get Zentars, eventually spots him out, and he does connect the second kill as well with a little bit of help from Draken. That's 10 to 10, and AWP recovered as well. Damage done to the C side, but Space Soldiers not going to matter. They're down to full eco, and NiP looking to try to take control of this matchup once again. Going to be put back in the lead here in this next map. Don't see a whole lot the Space Soldiers can really do. Maybe buy down and upgrade a pistol on Calyx and armor as well. But yeah, no, Paz just going in with a P250. Calyx does get a P250 out, but no armor or utility on any one of the CT players. This should be an easy 11th for NiP.
Yeah, we've played 20 rounds and these teams yet to be separated. That should be coming through any second now in favor of NiP. Although, you never know. Sometimes the Pistols can pull off some sort of insane individual plays, especially with the Space Soldiers guys having so much raw skill. That's always a possibility. And even though you don't have your full roster, FXCO as a stand-in, certainly, at least in his time, was an incredibly skilled player. We haven't really seen too much of him recently, of course, but he seems to be doing decently well for himself so far. 13 kills, 11 deaths, so... You know, it's a bit of a weird stand-in, you know, having him stand in for the full Turkish team being a Frenchie, but it seems to be working out pretty damn well for them so far. Either way, we need to head back into this round because Paz might just get overwhelmed. The push is also going to come in through mid, and if he's not careful, he could get shot in the back any second now. In comes the peek, and oh, Rez is so quick on the headshot. Forrest goes swinging out into the open, happy to clean up these kills over towards Truck. Calyx does find at least the one frag in reply, but shouldn't really lead to anything as he is the only man left. And NiP, as expected, take their 11th round.
Yeah, not even losing a whole lot as well. Only Forrest to go down, but he got the 3K. He got so much done in that round for NiP. And as a result, it does mean 11 to 10 to the favour of the T. So they take back the lead away from Space Soldiers. They got another buyback, of course, one for Eco with the max, not max loss bonus, sorry, 3 rounds loss bonus. AWP 4 AKs in play for Space Soldiers, lacking the head armor, but again, that's against the AKs, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Of course, the AWP in play for both sides, FXCO and Draken as appropriate. NiP go back in towards this default. A default that has lent itself to get a couple of nice picks, particularly from Forrest down that mid position, but so far in this round, Space Soldiers are playing a lot more passively than they usually do. They're holding down some very standard angles and just waiting for the push to come on through, so they can either play retake on B, for instance, where Calyx is the only man holding, or just hold for mid control and A site defensive. And initially with NiP heading in towards that B halls area in their threes, does look like it might be a decent shout to maybe rotate one of the CTs back over. They've got 2 held up in Z, which seems a little bit redundant, so Major will eventually rotate back around. Bomb not committed, but Paz finally lets the aggression of Space Soldiers start to set in. Takes down Rez as a great opening pick to the CT side.
Yeah, happy to take the first fight, clearly feeling confident, but in the meantime, his players on the B site are not so confident because they have already gone down, and that leaves only one player really anywhere near the action. It's Major to get flashed through, but it's a perfect flashbang for 2 kills. There comes the trade from Exist, so we go back down to a 2v2, but the hero play from Major at least keeps this somewhat winnable as they get back to an even position. However, as the bomb goes down towards the site, Space Soldiers are still on the outside looking in, and they're not really even able to look in with those smokes being up. Finally, the smoke will fade, and FXCO will get the opportunity. Exist falls back to safety, just gaining some information. And here comes Draken peeking out. 1 free kill, looking for the second one. FXCO still in that position, trying to get towards the bomb site, but it's planted for Draken. This is so difficult for FXCO at this point. Draken goes out into the open, happy to take the fight and happy to win another round for NiP. And that round might just allow NiP that decent sort of cushion in terms of rounds that they need, because again, Space Soldiers are just going to be forced down to pistols here.
And the money from NiP is allowed to build even more so. Yes, they have to force buy down on 4 players, but considering the last few rounds where they had 4 players staying alive, 3 players staying alive, Space Soldiers is unable to get that significant amount of damage done. That means now that they're going to be sitting pretty decently on their money. If Space Soldiers can't get a significant amount of damage in this round, then I think that it might be a very good economical state for NiP now. And Ninjas will now set up for the B site instead. Oh, get right, spots out Calyx, and here comes the necessary utility in towards the push. Calyx does get a dink, but Get Right gets the kill and opens up the B site for free for NiP. Smokes down, covering off crosses. CT's late to the rotation, but in real sort of terms, what can they really do? They've got 3 CZs and a Deagle. One player doesn't even have armor here for this retake, so very, very awkward standing. Might just look for the retakes as NiP cut off every single avenue of push for the Space Soldiers. They've got Xantares in heaven, trying to peek in, trying to look for anything, but the Pistols are just going to get to Space Soldiers this time around. Get Right spots out one man. No Xantares is there, tapping his way on through, does get the kill, and the rest of the CTs aren't even going to bother for this retake. After plants and the exit frags, but yeah, that's it. 13 to 10 will be to the favor of the NiPT side.
Yeah, I guess they can at least save the Kevlar, which is fair enough. I mean, Space Soldiers should still get a strong enough buy into the next round anyway. So you can see Paz is still a little bit hungry for a kill or two, but I don't think he's going to be fed this time. So he tries to go for the spam, but there is no one there. So Space Soldiers not really able to get anything done. However, here we go. This is such an important round for Space Soldiers. This is one that they're really going to need to win if they want a decent chance. And even if they do win this round, it's quite a difficult position to play from because NiP have so much money built up that you are likely going to be dealing with buy rounds from NiP for a fair amount of time before you can break their economy. And you can see Space Soldiers realize how important they is. They go for the switch up and go for the double AWP setup, and Efexio going out into the open with that AWP without even really pulling it out for the first kill. Xantares holding off towards mid, should be able to take this fight and win it up against Draken. In the meantime, Paz finds one of his own. He was actually boosted up there towards the back of the bomb site, but doesn't really get too much done. It eventually spot him out, and now it's just Major and Calix to attempt to retake control of this A bomb site.
No diffuse kit in hand, a man disadvantage, only a health advantage above Forest, but the other 2 players have 100 HP. They've got Major in the site, Calix will fall, and Major is alone to clutch it out for Space Soldiers. A must-win round for all intents and purposes, and he's going to decide to save it. Tries to see if he can pick off Forest, but isn't able to get the damage on through, so picks up the AWP and runs away from the fight to concede a 14th to the NiPT side. And this is a tragic round for Space Soldiers to lose, especially when you invest that much into a round like this. Double AWP start from Space Soldiers, and Efexio just basically ran out into the squeaky door. Just ran out, got killed, easy as. And then NiP just rolled on towards the A side with no solid defensive. It just fell apart for Space Soldiers, and that's not the kind of situation you want to be in right now. They've got 2 options. They can force buy down, which is what the option they're going to consider right here. The other option is they could probably save and play for overtime, or they can force buy down and look for the 14-11 and stop NiP getting to map point. But we'll go for that. Brisky, if they lose this first pick, it's going to get ugly, and indeed Draken takes down Paz to start things off perfectly for NiP.
Oh, and the spray through the smoke works well for Forest. Also, 2 opening picks before Space Soldiers can really even get anything done. They're going to attempt the boost, which I think at this point is fair enough. It's Calix who's going to go up, but Draken is more than ready for it. He lands the shot himself, and at this point, Space Soldiers again, I mean, they're making the right decisions after they go down a couple of players, but at that point, it's just too difficult for them. Efexio, the last man left, loses his head through the sandbags, and Draken, he's really starting to feel it here, up to 27 kills. And whenever you've got more kills than how many rounds have been played, I feel like you've had a pretty damn good game, and Draken is following that rule, as NiP themselves elect to go for a double AWP setup. Get Right buying up the AWP for himself. I think it might have been saved at the end of that last round, but either way, he's going to keep it, thinking about switching to the AK, but decides to stick with the AWP. So we'll have to see how he does with that as the secondary AWPer on the team. Currently, he's just using it, I think, to hold off any early B aggression. So NiP have the money for it. They don't really need to focus on their economy. And that is a kind of a nice little smart decision there from Get Right, just to be comfortable in holding that long-range angle to spot out any B aggression. And then he can always just go back to the AK, which he'll be much more comfortable with if necessary. So a cheeky little switch up there from Get Right, which I am a fan of. Either way, we're going to have to look at Space Soldiers buy, because Efexio is the one man with the AWP, no Kevlar, and the rest of the team don't really have the greatest of weapons to work with. So you'd hope Efexio would do a lot of the heavy lifting for the team. But still, you know, the FAMASs are certainly serviceable up against the rifles here. It looks like NiP focused on mid control, but we're not seeing too much aggression yet. So with a minute left in the round, still sort of a bit undecided as to where NiP will end up taking this round.
I'm a bit worried that this might just be GG, because Space Soldiers have a force buy back and they're up against a full set of AKs and AWPs. Initially, the double AWP out from Get Right as well, but he'll trade out to the AK eventually. And look at this 2-for-1 trade with Major getting 1 res. Draken exists. They combine for a few more. Calix and Efexio Last two alive on two separate parts of the map. One defending B, one defending A. Efexio does spot out Draken, but with that information gained, he will fall back and leave it up to Calix to defend the B site. Sprays the first, spots Get Right, trying to win this fight out. He can't do it. And Efexio needs to rotate quick to try and set up this retake with an AWP on the B site. Bomb will get planted. And this is not the spot you want to be in if you're the main AWPer for the Space Soldiers. Peeking in, Draken out towards Vents, make away in checkers. Did hear that footstep drop, and Efexio just looking around for Get Right. They're playing so passive, and they are waiting for every peeks from Get Right. Heard it, peeks out, sprays him down, and NiP will take map 1 at 16-10 fashion. And we were talking about this map being a very telling map for the series. Is it really as telling as we were going to say it was?
Well, we'll have to see, because heading up next, we will see Mirage in this series, which was